You ready for some rotten news? Proud to be an American. Proud to pay that income tax out of my check, which is forced out. Proud to pay the Obamacare tax for not having outrageously expensive insurance, which goes up this year, coming up, and then even more the next year. Really proud. Proud to see tax dollars being wasted out of control. 2 stories, 1 video. You know, I don't try to sound like I'm a know-it-all. Let me just be clear with that. Because I'm not. I just research, study, research, study, research, study everything I can get my hands on. Once you have all this knowledge and this information, you can say things and make forecasts and say this is probably going to happen and that's the way we're going to go. It's just common sense, right? So when I said a million times, when they've run out of things to do, they can't hide the fraud, corruption, the real state of the economy, etc., and things are going to get much worse. As Gerald Celente has said, and I've repeated a million times, they take you to war. How could I say that, and Gerald for that matter, and anyone else, way in advance, way before Russia got involved in Syria, way before ISIS came about? Nonsense. So let's cover 2 things today. Okay? Is there going to be a Social Security raise, cost of living increase coming up in 2016? And what tools does the government measure to determine if they're going to allow a raise or cost of living raise? And we're going to start with National Defense Act of 2016. What else did old Snippety J tell you? There will be zero austerity, cuts, budget, nothing when it comes to the military industrial complex, i.e., defense spending. Obama said, if we go higher with this defense budget, I'll veto it. I'll veto it. Don't test me. Let me read this story to you. Senate passes defense spending bill that blocks Gitmo closure. Veto showdown next week. Now, this is interesting because 21. Now, remember, Republicans are taking over. They're going to clean house and they're going to do this and they're going to get rid of Obamacare and they're going to do that. And the Democrats will fight them. Hold on. First words 21 Senate Democrats aligned with the Republicans voted in favor of the NDAA, a controversial military spending bill the White House wants to veto, giving its supporters a 70-1 to 27 majority sufficient to override President Barack Obama's opposition or veto powers. President, Congress, checks and balances, Republicans, Democrats. 21 Senate Democrats jump ship, join with the Republicans. Got a supermajority, 70-27, sufficient to override President Barack Obama's opposition. And let's just see what he was opposed to, because they already put limits and budgets in there. We can't go higher. We can't spend more. Let's see. In a vote Wednesday afternoon, so this is last week, the Senate adopted the conference report accompanying House Resolution 1735, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2016. The bill authorizes $612 billion in Pentagon funding. Defense budget. The conference report is the final version of a bill negotiated between the Senate and the House of Representatives through a conference committee. Last Thursday, the House approved the NDAA with 270 to 156 votes, 20 short of a veto-proof majority. However, it looks like the Senate's taking care of that. The bill was sent to Barack Obama, who previously threatened to veto it. However, he may find it more difficult to do so after it passed the Senate with a veto-proof majority. One major issue Obama cited in his opposition to the NDAA is that the lawmakers sought to avoid the budget cap on defense spending by adding about 38 additional billion to the Overseas Contingency Operations or OCO fund, a special account reserved for bankrolling wars. Oh, oh, who could have guessed that? Oh my God. Who could have guessed such a thing? Wow. Why, I don't know if I ever said anything about getting taken to war. We just had 21 Senate Democrats jump ship to join the Republicans to give them a veto-proof majority, so they don't care what the president does or doesn't do. He doesn't have to sign it into law. They've already taken care of it. So, what else do we have here? There's something else I thought I saw when I was going over this. The NDA also requires the Pentagon to explore expanding the presence of U.S. ground forces in Eastern Europe, which is Section 1253, and to urge NATO members to increase military spending, quote, to improve deterrence against Russian aggression and terrorist organizations, end quote. Bankrolling wars, urging our military buddies to spend more for the entirety of the military industrial complex. Check that off. When they have nothing else left to do, the empire is collapsing, there's nothing they can hide anymore, they take you to war. There can't possibly be an enemy just when you need one at the nick of time for them to do this every single time in history. So that means no matter what you bozo mind whatever says to you, CNN's showing women and children. Let me put on my zombie face. Women and children bombed today by ISIS. That's funny. Those videos look like they're from 1980. That's weird. Camera technology today looks a lot newer than that. Matter of fact, we've caught CNN showing videos belonging to other wars of previous times, saying that this happened just now. But Zombie Brain says, poor women and children. Poor women and children, we've got to help them. I got 2 words to tell you about that. Incubator babies. Anyone remember that story? First Gulf War. I was but a mere teenager. So proud to hear my countries went over there and whooped Saddam Hussein's butt. In 2 weeks, we cleaned house. I was so proud. And then I got a little bit older, and a smidgen more wiser, found all the news stories related to that time, and saw what got us involved in that war. Papa Bush. Patriarch Papa Bush had this little 15-year-old girl get in on a congressional hearing, how she was in the Kuwaiti hospital and the Iraqi troops came in and they took the babies out of the incubators and put them on the floor and then took the incubators away. Not on your life would you ever hear that story anywhere. Not even Nazi Germany during that time frame would they go into some land and take incubators away and dump the babies on the floor to die. And when asked what her name was, we don't want to release her name for fear of reprisal of the family. Okay. Turns out we found out a little too late who she was. the ambassador, the U.S. to Kuwait's either daughter or niece. I'm sure she was just hanging out at a hospital and witnessed that firsthand. It was a lie. It never even took place, but when the polls came out after that story aired and showed on TV, the majority of Americans were raging and demanding that we go kick that son of a gun's butt now. Got all emotional for nothing. You were lied to. Now, how about we go to part two? 600 and what was that total? Let's go back up there. I forgot the exact. I want to be precise. 612 billion with that additional 38 billion attached to it. October 9th, 2 days later from that story passing, we're going to have this budget taken care of. Wartime budget. For just the third time in 40 years. 3 times in 40 years. That's not that frequent now, is it? That's not a lot. Millions of Social Security recipients, disabled veterans, and federal retirees can expect no increase in benefits next year. Unwelcome news for more than 1/5 of the nation's population. According to the AP, they can blame low gas prices. By law, the annual cost of living adjustment, or COLA, is based on a government measurement, not your and my measurement of inflation. The trustworthy government's measure of inflation, which is dragged down by lower prices at the pump. Darn it. And after they get into next year, and should gas prices absolutely explode, too late. We've already made our decision. We will not be upping for inflationary or COLA, cost of living adjustment purposes. It stays where it's at. Sorry, because if had the prices for gas oil risen when we were discussing this in Congress, we would have allowed it. But we didn't allow it, and the real reason we didn't allow it is because we just spent a lot, billions more than our budget allowed for us for wartime spending. So F you, you retiree. F you, you disabled veteran. F you, federal retirees. And F you, any and all Social Security benefit persons, what we call it, is what the government just said to you while simultaneously blowing through their budget for wartime spending. Who is more important? You or the war machine, the military industrial complex? President Kennedy, military industrial complex. Enter Google speech. Will exist. What was that saying? Will exist and persist. Right there. Will persist. Sorry, am I confused? Dwight D. Eisenhower? That was Kennedy. President of the United States, 5-star general Dwight D. Eisenhower used the term in his farewell address to the nation in 1961. So I guess Kennedy was coming in, Dwight going out. Okay. A vital element keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. This conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our so is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. 1961, January 17th. Farewell address. What do you suppose he figured out when he became president? And on his way out, he had to wait till the very last second on his farewell address speech to tell the sheeple something very important. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. Does it sound like liberty and prosperity and security are all driving together when I just read you the war budget is on fire and exploding, and they approved it and even got a veto proof majority to do so, while simultaneously crapping, dumping on American citizens who need Social Security the most during a time in our country where jobs are becoming less and less frequent to get, full time jobs are becoming less frequent to get, part time jobs are there, but there's still 90 something million people who don't have a job. And I understand some of that would include older people, retirees, but 90 something thousand, that's, or million, that's a third practically of our entire population in America. They're saying a fifth is on Social Security. So of that 90, which is a third, some of that naturally is going to be this, population of Social Security recipients, disabled veterans, federal retirees, etc. It shows you how much control the club has. They will bypass the president. They will get veto proof. Democrats will jump ship to join Republicans. Republicans will jump ship to join Democrats. And I was just watching Martin Armstrong's documentary today. Someone sent it to me on through YouTube in my email. I got to watch it, and then it got removed by the user. I think it probably wasn't supposed to be posted online, but I got to watch it in full, and it was great. It was fantastic. That guy has nothing but good thoughts and deeds on his mind, and was telling how he turned the CIA down when he found out they wanted to use his economic model for whatever purposes. He told them to go pound sand, get the hell out of here. Other dictators and would-be criminals. Also, he said I would try I wouldn't do this for anybody. If you want to use my services, I needed to know who needed them and for what. And I would be told sometimes, I got a client that wants to use you for your services. They're willing to pay you a lot of money. Who's the client? Can't say. Then I can't help you. Well, I have to see I have to know who this person is. Okay, we'll have you meet him. Okay. Goes to meet him. There's a curtain. Can't see who's behind the curtain. Literally, a curtain. The man behind the curtain can't see the man behind the curtain. He gets there and says, "What the hell is this? What is this? I can't. Who is that? You're here. They're there. You can talk, but you can't tell you who it is. What the? I'm leaving. I'm out of here." If you can find his documentary, just look it up. Martin Armstrong documentary. It came out in 2014. Oh, it was great. So for now, I am done with this video, and it's on to the next one. Take care.